Hey guys, welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to run you through the basics of a pivot table or the pivot chart we have in Excel. So to show that, I've got a small data, a sales data, where we have got the order date, the region of the order, the place, the representative name, item, unit, per unit cost, and the total sale item. I mean, how much was the total order value? And this is a data which is we all can see, but how to summarize this data? Now, pivot table is all about summarizing and showcasing the data. It's the statistics of your data are clearly visible in a pivot table and in a manner in which you want to show that. So to start with, to get a pivot table, we can click anywhere in the data and we can just go in insert and we can click on pivot chart, and we have got two options, pivot chart and a pivot table. Now the difference between two options is, one is pivot chart is a graphical representation where you have a small graph which shows the numbers ups and down, and the pivot table is nothing, is the data source of that pivot chart. So in simple, if you're creating a pivot chart, a pivot table would always be there, because pivot chart is just the graphical representation of the pivot table. So we can just click anywhere, and normally I just click like this. A new dialog box opens up which says the range, the table or the table range. Now, in this case, it has selected the whole data automatically. Now, there's a one rule here. Now, if I just press escape, go back, and I click somewhere else where there's no data. If I come here, click on pivot table again, see it's looking for the table or the range for which I'm going to create the pivot table. Now, the rule is, if you want Excel to select the data on its own, you have to click somewhere in the data, anywhere, but in that data range you want to select. So we select, we click anywhere, come back, just click over here, see the whole data is selected. Then you can just click anywhere. Another rule is, we should have headers on the data, because if you do not have headers on the data, it's going to be really hard for you to understand how the data. Now we'll do that practical in a while. Now, if we see this particular dialog box which is opened up in the create pivot chart, the first thing is the data range which we're going to work for. Now there is one other option in the data, which is use external data source. Now we'll cover this later in a separate video, but just for reference, this is a option where we can import the data from some other data source. It can be anything, CSV, Excel, or just anything. We'll cover this later on. So we'll come back, select this table or the range. Now, another thing is where you want your pivot chart to be placed. Now, you want a new sheet to open up and create that pivot chart. By default, that's an option. Or we can choose the existing worksheet, where if you have multiple sheets and you want your chart to be specific. Now, let's say if I want to have my chart from Q1, just select this, it will start the pivot table at this location. But for now, we'll just go with new worksheet. Now there's one other option. If you see, choose whether you want to analyze the multiple tables. Now this is a very important and kind of a tool which has been inherited from Power BI, where you can have different data sets or two or three more data sets to combine and give you a statistical view, or maybe give you a pivot chart in a combination of few data. Now the rule for that again is, we should have one unique value between all the tables so that you can link the data. We'll cover this off in a separate video as well. So for now, we'll go with select the table range and new worksheet. Now, there's one other thing. There's a shortcut for this as well. So if I again click escape, I'll stay in data, I'll come back to home. Now there's a shortcut for this, which is Alt N and then V. So if you press the Alt key, hold it, keep it pressed, then press N and then V, this will open up. So this is just a shortcut key. Now if we click OK, if you see, a new table is open up, and it has all the table headers over here. Now over here, we see these four options. We have four data fields which we can work with in a pivot table. Now the first one is filter. Now as the name suggests, it's the representation of the data or the filters you want to put in while representing the data. So let's say we were working on regions, right? We have three regions. If I wanted to summarize my table or the chart on basis of only one region, I can just put the region in filter and I can select one of the region. We'll see that in a practical sense as well. Columns, as the name suggests, is if you want the data to be shown as per column, like starting from A, B, C, D, that kind of a way, we should drag the value in that column field. Rows stay same. If you want the data to be shown in a rows, we can just put the data in the rows and it will show. And values are the numbers or the stats which we wanted to show in our data. Now, there's various ways of showing this. We can have a count of the data or the header which you're working on. We can have the sum. We'll go and see those. So to start with, we'll do undo here. We'll just delete this sheet because there's one other thing which you wanted to test if we do not have any data. I'll just select this and I delete this. I come back again. I'll do Alt and V. A new one is selected. Now see, it has taken the first row as a data set. That's the reason it's very important that we have the headers of our data, because if we do not have headers, the first row would automatically be selected and we would be having issues. So we create the pivot table again. We'll take in a new sheet. Now to start with, let's say we want a data which shows all the representative, the sale they have done by each and every rep. So we'll take the rep, we can put it in column. So columns are here. Then we put which all items they have sold. We can put in this way. So binder, desk, and everything. These are all the items which were sold, and all the representative are here. And we can put in the value. Let's say how many, what's the total value or the sale they have done. Now, if you see, this is representative that Andrew has done 438. This of binder is a representation. Now we don't see chart in here, so we can just click on pivot chart, select whichever chart you want to select. I've just select this bar chart for now, and I'll just maximize it. So this is how it's look like, right? But if you see ideally, if we put wrap here, now see the whole chart changes completely. And because we do not have anything in the column series, it takes rows. And if we do take item, the chart changes completely. So this is whichever way you want to showcase your data, that's how it's gonna make the chart, and whichever best graphical representation you can see with your data is what you can choose. Now, on the value side, right now, if you see what we are looking at is the actual cost. Now, if I wanted to see what's the exact number of sale they have done, so or maybe the number of sales, not the value of the sales. So we can just come here. If you see the sum of totals, if I just click on this down arrow, we'll get this option of value field settings. Now, right now it's sum. Let's put in a count. Now, if you see, we'll see what's the number of sales they have done. So it's 4, 5, and it's not the sum or the total sale they have done. It's the number of sale they have done. So the data changes on its own. Now you have many other options, average, product. There's too many. We can select and see what's the best way of representing our data, and we can go with that option. Now there's one other thing, which is filter. Now let's just do this as well. Let's get region in here. See, it's get complicated a bit where we're getting end use central. Now in an ideal scenario, we would like to see region first and then the representative in the region who has made the sale. So we can just do wrap, we can drag it down. So the region is the first header or the first label, and then representation is second. So if you see, the whole thing changes. Central, east, and west, all the representatives who have made the sale within that uh, region has changed. All right, there's one other way where we take the region in the filter section and we say, I just wanted to see the sale for east. I'll just select east right now, click OK. See, the whole number changes. If I select central, number will change. I can do a multiple selection as well. If you see, if I check this one, it's a multiple one. We can select central and west. The data is shown. This is the way where we can filter the data or see the exact data which we are looking for. Now, on this table side, we can see what exact graphics which you are more comfortable with or which you want to show. This is a normal chart. We can change everything, design and everything. If you see, analyze, design, and format, everything is changed. And we can go with any of the chart, whichever way we like. So this is more about the basics of the pivot table. I would be covering more on this because this is just the basics right now. If you have any questions or any queries, put that in the comment box and I'll try and respond to it as soon as I can. Thanks for watching this video, guys.